amazed when Jesus arrived must be how his countenance looked after he came from the Mount of Transfiguration. People were so amazed when he got there. And when Jesus got there, he inquired as to what was going on. And there was a man in the crowd who stood up and said, I have brought to thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And he began to describe the situation, and I can imagine the heart of this father who has had to watch his son deal with this condition since his childhood. He said, listen here, the spirit that's in this boy takes him and it begins to tear him. And even he would start foaming at the mouth, and he would start gnashing with his teeth and pine at the way. And sometimes they would try to throw him in the fire and burn him up. They would try to throw him in the water and drown him. And my God, I can only imagine a father who would have to endure this. And it was Jesus who asked the question. He said, how long has this been going on? And he said, since he was a child. I've taken him to everybody. If I can just theorize in my mind, I've taken him to everybody, but nobody knows what's wrong. And how many know that when the doctor can't diagnose you, there is a balm in Gilead? There is a chief physician whose name is Jesus, who even when the doctors don't know what's wrong with you, he can diagnose your condition. I'm reminded of that old mother in that song as they got off the road, and she asked the people, do y'all have a closet I can go in? And that old mother went into that closet and asked him to come on in her room. She said, Jesus is my doctor, and he writes out all of my, not prescriptions, prescriptions, and give him all the medicine in my room. I'm so glad that Jesus would come into my room and give me the very medicine I need. Somebody say, Baker, what you talking about? Who can heal a broken heart? I don't know of any medication. I don't know of any tonic that can cure a broken heart. You may drink something and it may provide temporary relief, if y'all know what I mean. But once you're sober up, the heart is still broken. Who can provide a diagnosis? Then came Jesus, who said, I will heal your broken heart. And so, as I look here, this man say, I brought him to you, Jesus. And I brought him to your disciples, and they couldn't cast him out. I want to deal with three things here that stand out in this passage of scripture. The first thing that stands out here, that there was a rebuke after the man told Jesus, say, I brought him to your disciples, and they couldn't cast him out. Jesus said, oh faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him to me. Procaccini, I just want to laugh at this part because the New Living Translation say, bring the boy to me. And I can imagine Jesus said, bring the boy to me. And so I marvel at this text that the disciples could not cast them out. How is it that the people that spent the most time with Jesus couldn't cast out this spirit? I just ask you today, does it remind you of the church? We spend the most time with Jesus, but we don't get results when we're dealing with difficult spiritual matters. We ready to back away. Why, when we serve the all-powerful God, when things get heavy, we ready to run? When demons start speaking out of people, everybody clearing the church and going into the lobby, there should be some sanctified spiritual folk who said, I'm not afraid of any devil. I'm not afraid of Satan. I'm willing to step on his territory and take what belongs to God. I heard Jesus tell Peter, he said, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. I feel like preaching this morning, so I guess I better go ahead. And so it is the church, when things get difficult, have started to get a little sidetracked. They've started to get a little sad. They've started to get a little weary. But we who have been in this thing for a while, we who say we know Jesus, we who introduce Jesus, we should be the main ones that step up when things get rough.